Welcome to Football Fans in Finance. I'm your host, Nathan Atkinson. And today's podcast we'll be discussing the English Premier League, La Liga, football and racism, and also FIFA rankings. Good or bad? Today I have with me Daniel, Lane, and Kevin. Guys, introduce yourself.
Daniel Thompson, Arsenal fan, Gunners for life.
Lane Atkinson, Manchester United fan, the great Manchester United club.
Kevin Walters, Chelsea fan.
Everton.
Most successful
Everton.
club in the last
Everton
couple of years,
fan.
right? Record speaks for itself.
Okay.
Alright, well, James, we start off with the Premier League. Arsenal,
2 from 2.
yes. ManU, horrible start. Chelsea, solid.
No, Crystal Palace have a great
Solid.
start.
Yeah.
2 from 2.
That's important to
Okay.
say. Crystal Palace, off to a flyer.
Yes.
Wilfred Zaha have more goals than Manchester United.
Very much so.
All very accurate statements. But we forget that it's match week 1 or 2, depending on which club, right? And this thing has always been proven to be a marathon and not a sprint. Arsenal
You can,
is well aware of
you can
Arsenal
still
is
lose a
well aware,
marathon now. You
they've
can still
always
lose a
been
marathon.
First at December, and they're fighting for top
You
four
can
again.
still lose
But
a marathon.
Mr.
Well,
Manager, please.
When last Manchester
let's-
United win something?
Come on, man. Let's talk about the topic. When last?
Yeah.
Come on, man. We won the Europa League and you have
When?
never been successful
When?
in Europe.
When last you win something?
Come on, man. Come
That
in
was-
the Shield
that was
and
last
celebrate,
time.
baller.
With
Come
FA
in
Cup
the
too.
Shield,
FA Cup, FA Cup they
Man, they
celebrate.
got that here, man.
FA Cup they celebrate.
Come
FA
on,
Cup.
man. When last you win the league? When last
When last you win the
They never win
league?
the league.
When last you win the league?
Last time was
When last you win the league?
long after you.
It doesn't matter. We know
After
we're
you.
both losing now,
Come
right?
on, 2000.
Crystal Palace are beating
versus
though.
2000.
Crystal Palace.
First game.
Not the
First-
Crystal. No, it don't matter for the
First
first
game
and
of
last
the
game.
season.
Crystal Palace beat
Let's
that theatre of
count it
dreams.
at the one.
Theatre of
Let's
nightmares.
count it after 38
Theatre
What
of
we did last
nightmares.
year, when they finished
Theatre of
8th.
nightmares.
All right, so you're
And
saying
no,
that
no. We finished 8th.
Let's see
We finished
where you
8th.
finish.
We
Let's
finished
see
8th.
where you finish.
And we
After
still end with
38
silverware.
games.
So,
Come on, man, I
so,
come in
so
the Shield
hold
and
on,
talk
hold
about-
on, gents. We're going to save the footage. So at the end of the season or midway, we'll just replay.
End of the season we talk.
Okay,
Yeah, man.
replay.
Alright.
What we're not talking
But it's
about.
always important to start good and speak when you can.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have
And
to-
I'm very loud now, right?
Yes.
Only person loud than me is Wilfred Zaha.
After 2 games. After 2 games.
So, Lane, what went wrong today?
So today was just a bad day. Poor tactics from the coach, poor overall management from the club. It's been a really poor transfer window. Pretty much everything that could go wrong today went wrong, right? Just our centre back pairing, we've always said that
You know what, Rich, right?
together they don't work.
Zaha!
So what we saw was lack of pace, not being dominant in the air. We saw several mistakes from Victor Lindelof. We see that pairing not working, right? So definitely the first hole that we need to fill is a centre back. Additionally, we have a left back issue, right? Luke Shaw just not good enough. That's just the reality. Not good enough.
So I don't
Since
think
when?
Zaha.
In terms of are you guys gonna allow me to speak?
Go ahead.
I thought we were gonna be civil about
Okay,
this
okay,
conversation.
go ahead.
Where's Silver?
I don't have any manners, no respect. These guys work at big financial institutions and they don't know how to behave. I feel sorry for their supervisors.
You know,
Anyway,
be first
I
time
digress.
is Zaha.
So those were the issues. If the club turn it around? It's the first game, right? I mean, we all have blips in the season. I've seen Man City, the best team in the league, lose to Crystal Palace. Do I take anything from it? Yes. It's a wake-up call for the club. This loss may actually be very good. Maybe the board can look at it. Maybe Solskjaer can talk to the board. Maybe we'll be able to speed up transfers. That's a hope as a fan, right? So we'll see what happens in the coming days. We'll see what happens as we get closer to the end of the transfer window. And we'll see what happens at the end of the season. At the end of the day, right now, bad start. We have to take the banter from 2 banter clubs as well. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Kevin, you remember?
Banter clubs.
You remember when Ole was in the stands, right?
Yes.
And Van der Beek scored a goal, and the man had dashed out to the sideline like Fergie.
Fergie.
And Zaha,
Zaha!
see what man retreat like boys.
Retreat like boys. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's a bad day. It's just a bad day.
So,
Yeah.
Danny, you said Arteta is the man in the moment,
Yeah. To be
What's
fair,
going
no.
right with him?
To be fair, honestly, as an Arsenal fan, I don't think we're still good enough to be consistently competing in the top 4. We're knocking at the door. I still think we need about a player or two, and to really bring ourselves back to a point, But like I said, he's doing very well with what he has right now, and he can only beat who's in front of him. And so far, especially coming out of the lockdown, I think he has found a formation that works. You know, he has made a couple changes and we're seeing where, you know, it's yielding some good results. I'm not going to be overly optimistic, to be honest, because at the end of the day, you have to compete over 38 games. You understand? Plus, there's Europa League, you have FA Cup and so on. So, I don't think our squad is deep enough. That's the truth.
There's what?
FA Cup.
FA Cup. There's FA
And
Cup.
Europa League.
And Europa League. The same one. Yeah, the same one they had last year.
Where am I now?
It doesn't matter where you are now. Where you are, you're at the bottom of the
Where
table.
am I now?
You're steering on Crystal Palace good.
Zaha!
Zaha!
Where you go? Uzbekistan, all of them places.
You better get Zaha if you want to compete like Champions League. Yeah?
I might can do
Yeah,
that,
that's right.
but can you compete this
We
year?
don't want him.
Oh, you don't want to
We
compete
don't want
this year?
Zaha. No, we're good, man. We're built. We're rebuild. Rebuild.
Kevin, your club is big in the spending, and you know about 5 new players.
7.
7.
And I think we aren't finished as yet. However, you know, to be honest,
Must be nice.
Yeah.
the keeper situation is still a concern for a lot of fans. I think we spent a lot of money on Kepa.
But he was good last week. He was
And
good last
I
match.
feel like Kepa
That were-
needs to get a chance. I think Kepa needs to get a chance.
I want him for the
It
entire
might be
season to go.
unpopular with the fans, but I feel like as a young player, you bring him into a league, the most expensive keeper of all time. Give him a little time. However, I think the side has progressed from last year. You know, we were very inexperienced last year. We had a new coach, a lot of young players coming through, you know. Now we've had experience in Europe, we had experience in the Premier League. I think that will help us kick on. The fact that we have to integrate, you know, 6-7 players is going to be difficult. I'm very happy with the start because we won without playing well, and sometimes you don't want to start off with a flyer because of new players, and then, you know, it gets to the team's head and we don't perform properly. So I'm happy with that start. I still feel like I need to see some maturity from Lampard as a coach also. You know, the approach that he took last year was very consistent, and I think for certain matches you need to adjust your tactics to the team you're playing. You're not the best team in the league, so you have to adjust when you're playing a Man City, you adjust when you're playing a Liverpool. However, with the quality and the amount of investment that we have put into the side, I think we should challenge. I'm not saying we're going to win, but if we're not in and around the top 2, which is Liverpool and Man City, the season is going to be a failure to me. And I think, and no, given Abramovich's history, I think Lampard have about 6 months to get it right.
Yeah.
Even though he's an ex-player, I think he might have 6 months to get it right.
I have a question for you, right? So, you talk about giving Kepa some time, right?
Yes.
So, the rumors are that, you know, you pretty much have a keeper on his way in the form of Mendy, a good keeper down from France coming up, right? Cheaper keeper, right?
Yeah.
So that would provide proper competition for Kepa as opposed to Willie Caballero that he had before, right? So
Agreed.
do you think that one, that will bring the best out of Kepa? And 2, do you think that with you have spent so far, I think, £204 million I've seen so far, and as I say,
Good business,
you know, and you're looking to do more, right?
Yeah.
Do you think, and that far supersedes the second club, which would have spent probably 30, 40, 60 million, let's say,
That's
right?
Everton.
That's probably Everton, right?
I want Everton to spend more than that because they're bringing the entire midfield.
Yeah, but
that
they don't spend a lot of money for that. Yeah, they actually did very good business. So it's not a lot of money. It's probably about 60 million.
60? I thought it was about 80.
We can fact
okay.
check it,
Yeah,
right?
that's fine. 60, 80.
But
I mean, it's still good business for them.
And still very low. I mean, Chelsea is much higher than any other club. The Man City is the Liverpool so far, right? So do you think that just with the investment that you've made, the star quality that you bring in, you think just fighting for top 3, as you'd say, is good enough for Abramovich after outspending the rest of the market 2 times at this point in time?
I think so. And here's why I think that for that reason. So Liverpool and Man City have been performing at a level that we haven't seen for a very long time in terms of consistency. And those teams have been together for a longer time. One, Chelsea is going through a rebuild. You know, we rebuild after the Champions League victory. We brought in Hazard, the Oscars and all of those. We have basically moved out all of those players. All of the players that we're bringing in now are young players. Alright, so let us move along. Alright, so
What was the best player last week, you know?
we can edit that out.
Premier League team of the week.
Yeah. So moving along, right?
Once he don't injure himself, you guys should be great.
I feel like, you know, a deep run in the Champions League, at least to the quarter. Champions League is still high quality, a lot of great teams out there, and challenging for. I think we should not be battling for third. We should be battling for second or first in and around here. I don't expect us to get it, but whoever's coming fourth should be a distance behind us based on the investment, based on the quality of players, and I think that is what we're looking for.
Fair enough. And one thing I said earlier in terms of the amount of money that's been spent so far, I don't think City's done it, right? Because City would have spent about 80 when I think about it, because they overpaid for Nathan Ake. They spent, I think, like 40 million for Ferran Torres, 30 to 40, I think.
No, about 24.
Yeah.
It's 24?
24.
So it's about 16 there.
60 yards.
Yeah.
60 yards, okay, fine.
And they're looking at Koulibaly.
And they're looking at Koulibaly, so I think Koulibaly can run them over 100.
Right.
And I
Well,
still...
reportedly at 60 to 70.
No, man, as in when cumulatively.
Okay.
So but when they get Koulibaly, the total spend would have then gone over 100.
Definitely.
So I personally think sides have more money to spend in this window, because I think everybody kind of waiting, because of the whole COVID impact. I think clubs that are spending money, they kind of trying their best to time the market properly and wait until the last. So I expect a lot of business to be done in the last week of the window. And I tell you why. If you look at Chelsea, bringing about 7 or so players. Arsenal brought in 2. Saliba was bought from last year.
Mm-hmm.
But they have not sold anybody. We sold Martinez, and they get another keeper as well. So I think most of the sides that are doing the spending, the fact that they are not offloading players. You're getting 7 players and don't offload one really.
We can't talk about Arsenal like
So Willian,
There's
no,
a difference with Arsenal right now. Arsenal made 55 people redundant. I'm not saying it as a joke, right? But 55 people redundant, and they would have cut player wages, right? So that would have freed up, and coming from their board and the management is that they made these changes to free up money to spend. So they are spending early, but they are to some extent really financial prudent about their approach.
No man, I get that So the point I was making is that I'm not saying they're going to be spending a lot more money now. But what I'm saying, I wasn't using Arsenal as an example to say, I'm just using the fact that most of these clubs, they are net buyers now, in terms of they brought in significantly more than they have released. I know, especially with a COVID market, reduced income, the in terms of TV rights probably going to be impacted. There's no fans in the stadiums anymore. Jersey sales that have gone down. So every single revenue stream would have been impacted. And so you have to sell to fund transfers, because at the end of the day, at the end of the window, you still have FIFA fair play to contend with. You can't be spending too much, so you have to be spending some money to free up space for some of the purchases that you have made already or you plan to make. So I think that there's a lot more to come in the transfer market. Especially in the last week.
So I think what inadvertently benefited Chelsea. We had a transfer ban last year, right? We moved out Hazard for about 100 million. We didn't bring in anybody really. So, and over the last couple of years, to be honest, we've been moving out more players than we're bringing in, because at one point it's almost as if Abramovich was, no longer interested in the price. So I think from that position we're a bit secure. I mean, to the point that Lane raised earlier, I think bringing in a next keeper, Willie Caballero is no good. See, we have to get him all the way out to the side. That is just my opinion.
That is true.
It is no good.
Remember, Kepa was running the side in the final.
I remember that.
Stay on the bench.
Sada is no. Sarri is no good also. See, I'll just put that out there. But
so what's the better coach, Kepa or Sarri?
Tough to say. Who will credit the Europa League to? Kepa or Sarri?
Sorry, we'll give Sarri.
Alright, so Sarri are the better.
So hold on, right? I have a point to make. So I think even more important than the transfer ban that he had and everything, right? I think what Chelsea has over Manchester United and Arsenal is first of all a owner who's really serious about football and winning, finds more pleasure in winning and boasting about winning than anything else, than the cost, right? 2, he's rich, filthy rich. 3, the structure of their club in terms of having a director of football, one of the first team to kind of implement that in England, director of football, and have a proper structure helps them. I would be bold enough to say, let me just finish. I'd be bold enough to say that if ManU got a transfer ban, I was to come here, would still only buy one player at this point in time.
Zaha.
Not even Zaha. Van der Beek, right?
Let's check it.
Van der Beek. And then what would happen is that, we'd still be struggling to look the side. So that is an issue that a structural issue that Manchester United have. I think Arsenal has addressed it, but they're not there as yet. They're ahead in terms of structure of the club. So they've implemented a director of football and they're building some structure around that. And they're trying to get serious about football and be financially prudent. But Chelsea is still way ahead of us.
And to Chelsea's credit, if you look at what they did last year, what they had, I think Chelsea had an excellent season. To be quite honest, because I mean, you got rid of a talisman. Yeah. You look at the strength of a Liverpool side. You look at the strength of a Man City side last year. To get in the top 4 with Tammy Abrams leading the line for most of the season, I think what Frank Lampard did, to his credit, he did the best with what he had. Yeah. So I guess with the improvements in the squad, I think he has set up himself. Because now the benchmark is to outperform what he did last year because they came at 4th. Yes. So you were 4th last year with no Hazard, right? And you have a diminished squad. A lot of young players coming in. You have Tammy Abrams leading the line, first time really playing in the Premier League, and you have the responsibility to lead the line. You have Mason Mount who had a bigger role in the club. So I think he did a very good job last year, and he may be a victim of his own success because, like I said, and to your point, ex-player or not, fan favorite or not, in 6 to 8 months' time, especially with the expenditure, with the investment that Chelsea has made, spending over 200 million so far, I think that is going to be under some pressure.
Well, Lampard will get it done, though, Lampard will get it done. All right?
Check him back.
Record this, please.
Lampard, I will get it done.
Lampard, I will get it. When him say him don't know who better, Lampard or sorry, we're going to play about this and remind him.
Yeah, we'll just clip it in, right? So save this. But, fair point, Danny, but, I agree with you and I almost disagree with it at the same time. I agree with you that he did a very good job in terms of, where he finished top 4. But I just think overall the league was so poor that, so many missteps from Arsenal, Manchester United. I mean, even though we finished top 4, so many missteps. I mean, 66 points is they finished top 4, right? But 66 points, probably if we look at it historically, is probably the lowest points total that get the top 4.
Well, what I'll say is this, right? When Michael Frater ran 10.02 and got a medal, you can only beat who is front of you, right? And at the end of the day, if everybody is making mistakes and you still finish top 4, you're still the best of the lot.
Pardon the pun, we're going off track, right?
No, I get your point. I get your point. I'm just saying that.
No, man, and I understand what you're saying, but you can only do what you can only do. You can only beat who's in front of you.
We could only say that Liverpool actually performed, and apart from it, I think a good aim for a lot of the clubs this year should probably be, the top clubs, the traditional clubs. We're talking about the Manchester United, the Chelsea, the Arsenals. It's probably to even look at, yes, a top 4 space, but there must be a points total that you chase as well, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can't look in the mind and say 66 points can get the top 4. It's done it before, but historically, that's really in the team.
Yeah.
So ideally, you'd want to probably chase 80 points, 75
But what I
points.
say though, what I say as well, Dolin, we have to look at the fact that the league is changing, right? Clubs are strengthening. So if you look at a club like let's look at Everton for argument's sake. You look at the caliber of players that Everton have. You look at the season that like a Wolverhampton had as well. What you will find, I look at even Sheffield. So Sheffield took points off of some big clubs last year.
Yeah.
So what you find, traditionally you have a top 4 dominant clubs. Now we're talking about a top 6. And I guarantee in a couple years time we're talking about a top 8. Because a lot of investment in football in the league. Yeah. All the sides are strengthening. So you find that the points now are being spread across the league more openly. So you find that so let's take Mikel Antonio for argument's sake. Them on the club, right? Mikel Antonio start score for everybody and take points off of everybody. West Ham at that point of the season beat Chelsea, right? Mm-hmm. Then beat Chelsea. Then see the man go score 4 goals. This man don't go score like once every 3 months.
Yeah.
Score 4 in one match.
So I hear you, but I disagree to a point because I still think, yes, we'll get wired that the teams are getting better. The groups of teams we're going to talk about, you may say top 8, top 10,
exactly.
And it's a tussle, right? But at the end of the day, look at the gap between 1st and 4th and 1st and 3rd. And look at it traditionally.
Well, to be fair, it's 1st and everybody else now. Liverpool had a season above everybody. But if you look at the
I hear you,
2nd to 3rd.
Hold on, let me finish the point. Because even though Man City was light years behind, they were still in the 80 points, or the 81, right? Your 3rd and 4th was 66 or 65 points,
yeah, man,
right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about a 30-point gap, which if you check it out historically, you know, and between, I mean, the year before was probably had that low as well because Chelsea, I think Chelsea finished third at probably like 69 or 71 or something like that. But generally, right, the clubs have been performing poorly. We've seen the impact deteriorating in the clubs.
But what
and
I say,
essentially, you just kind of need to, these clubs will be performing. I expect them to start performing better.
I think that's the problem, Lane, because we expect traditionally, so okay, if and not to step on their foot, but you expect that if Crystal Palace come to Old Trafford, ManU should get 3 points. And I'm not saying the trouble, exactly, but what I'm saying is that football is changing. So there's no sure points in the Premier League again.
That should never be something that should ever change for any Manchester United fan, Arsenal fan, or Chelsea
well,
fan.
what I will say,
you lost to Brighton, right?
No,
You
yes,
lose to Sheffield
and it's going to
United.
happen more.
It happens, but the
And it's
point
happening
is that
more and more.
you cannot be going into a match at home. There should never be a time as a Manchester United fan, Arsenal fan, Chelsea fan, and these things happen long time. Sir Alex used to lose to Wolves, right?
Yeah, man,
Wolves were no good.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is that when you saw that happening, you're like, all right, bad day at the office, horrible game. But I should never go into a match as a Manchester United fan, right? And say, I have Brighton today,
No,
I have Sheffield today.
No, Lynn.
So hold on, let me intervene. So
You know,
I think both are right. See, so in terms of being a Manchester United, and I said it to Lane, you know, in conversation outside of this, where he say, you might look on probably like, for argument's sake, I'm gonna say Manchester United should never be looking at Azar. In my opinion.
They had him.
In my opinion, you see,
He's a ManU player.
at him, right?
Yeah.
But me take that point also. I think the league has become way more competitive. Before, I used to, when ManU was dominating the league, it was almost given that ManU will beat these little teams all the time. You know? A lot has changed in terms of how these little teams start to set up. In terms of the quality of James Rodriguez played for Bayern Munich, played for Real Madrid, started the World Cup. It's at Everton.
Yeah.
It's quality there. So it's improving lane, and what it means is that whilst the top four, traditionally, as Danny would say, it would be the top four and then this chasm and then everybody else.
Yeah.
It's no longer going to be that.
No, I hear you. But what I'll say is that the Liverpools, the Man Cities, they are not dropping. I mean, last year Man City had a bad year, right? But the Liverpools, the Man Cities, they're not dropping as many points against these little teams.
But to be fair,
as much as they straighten and how they set up,
but to be fair,
they're beating them. Right?
As we said before, Liverpool and Man City are in a particular cycle in their club where
They're at the top.
everybody else, they're at the top. And they have players who have been together for a while, they're getting it right. The coach has been there for a while, getting it right. Chelsea is rebuilding.
Yes.
Right?
Arsenal trying to build.
Arsenal trying to build.
Yeah,
Manchester
been
United
rebuilding.
lose them away from Fergie League. And has never been the same Manchester United that you know pre-Fergie to now.
Right,
it's not the same, and the club hasn't regained, you know, that stature. Alright, we still go to Old Trafford and say we are going to lose.
Yeah.
That's
A 3 points to give away now. They got Old Trafford. Remember, I said Fergie could have called a ball line and say, yo, I want you to come to Manchester United. And the man pack him back, no contract sign, don't know how to get paid. And him gone to ManU. Right? You know, I think about salary because your dream is just to play for Manchester United. Yeah. Now a man can look on a Brighton and say, Brighton pay me 100,000 and I go play some ball down there.
Yeah, so
I think Brighton is a bad example.
No, it's a bad example, you get the point.
no. I think it's even more different. I think it's different than that, right?
And the TV rights money too, actually.
So I think it's probably more some of the smaller clubs getting some decent coaches, right? And some big owners. So fine, right? So Everton got bought out by a billionaire oil people, and you know they bring in Ancelotti, and you're seeing the improvements now, right? The Wolves have a very good coach, strong
good system,
good system, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, right, with the amount of money that you know the powerhouses can spend and should spend, right, and what the club should be going for in terms of winning.
Pause. Arsenal out of the conversation then.
No, man, I mean, Arsenal is still a big club. Right?
No, but we're not spend the money because you know, say Everton outspend for the last about 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, because you have the same problem as Manchester United. At the end of the day, you have owners who don't care about the football at the club.
No,
right?
and the fact is that Manchester ManU have a bigger revenue base than Arsenal. That's the truth. Because at the end, we can't sign a football for 100 million.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
But your club is self-sufficient with the revenues that it makes, right? But they've been pulling revenues out of the club. So in terms of dividends. If you reinvest a lot more, but it's
Yeah.
a business for them, right?
Exactly.
But we have to look at now, take an owner like the Liverpool owners that are not pulling as much dividends out. Take owners like Roman Abramovich that not really pulling money out, and pushing money in.
Mhm.
It's a different thing to say, all right, let's continue to win. He wants to win consistently, and then he'll probably pull some money.
But the
It's
Liverpool
totally
owner still.
different.
I was reading an article about his approach, and he's approaching it like a business as well. It's just like you buy a stock. It's either you buy an income stock or a growth stock. Liverpool to him is a growth stock. So he say, okay, not taking any dividends, give the club an interest-free loan, and I expect to see appreciation in the club value. And that's how I'm going to get back in return. So it's a business anyway, take it, it's just your approach to business.
Yeah, so I agree with that. So it's the approach, right?
Mhm.
And the approach hurts both Manchester United and Arsenal in terms of how they view the club and what the club is to them. And pulling money out to help their American businesses are just a conglomerate structure, and they don't really understand football. They call it soccer, right?
Yeah.
And it hurts us as football fans at the end of the day, right? But we understand the finance of it, of course, given where we work. But it's just the issues that we face
So question though, when not go for Zaha?
next season.
Okay.
All right, good. Good discussion so far. I want to pick your brain. Predictions, top 6, and your relegation zone candidates.
All right then.
Done.
So generally I'd have a top 6, right? But what I say is this: I would prefer to hold off on my top 6 predictions until transfer window is closed, because I still think that there's a couple more interesting deals to be made. Because, for example, how I look at the Arsenal season is that if we get a Thomas Partey and the Leon number 10, I can't even pronounce his name properly. Yeah, that one. Arsenal looking different now. Arsenal is going to look different for the end of the season. That's the truth.
All right. So, but fair enough. But just give me a
In terms of
early.
predictions,
Okay.
I think with Liverpool's most 2 recent acquisitions, I think Liverpool, in my mind, have put themselves back up in contention for the title again. They're going to be in there. Before the Thiago and Jota was saying that I think City was the odds-on favourite, but now I think it's a toss-up as to one, whether City can get Koulibaly. If they do complete that business, I think they'll be in a strong position. So honestly, I'm kind of a toss-up between City and Liverpool. I know they'll do 1-2. I think it's very early for me to say who is going to be 1 and who's going to be 2, because City have been trying to make some significant improvements to their backline. They're getting Nathan Ake, decent enough baller, but overpriced, but that's a different conversation. Still a good baller. Not world class, but he can get a job done. And certainly better than John Stones. Right? If they're getting Koulibaly though, that's going to be the real X factor. So they lost Leroy Sané, David Silva left, but they're getting Ferran Torres. I still think City have one more transfer left to go outside of Koulibaly. We're going to see how it looks. But I know that 1-2 is going to be between them. Honestly, I'm expecting Chelsea to be 3rd if they get it right, because Chelsea had made a lot of improvements in their club, as we've been talking about. 4th, if Arsenal get the ball them what they want, Arsenal over ManU. Let me tell you why. I'll say it. And it's not the score today. No offense, Lane. Last year, I called it and I said there's no way Arsenal get me anywhere near top 4. I said it last year. And I said, 1, Arteta have been playing some good football and he's getting the best out of them.
Okay.
2, they've been smart in the transfer window thus far. If, as is right now, it's hard to see them in top 4. If they get those 2 additions, I think there's a lot of quality they're adding to the side. So that is contingent on that. Arsenal getting those 2 players and ManU not getting anybody else. If ManU gets Zaha, it's all done. It's a different conversation. League done. Right? But seriously, if ManU don't get anybody else, I think ManU can have a challenging time in the top 4, especially that they're going to be distracted in the Champions League as well. And especially if they come out of the group stage, I think it's actually going to prove to be a distraction, because I don't think ManU have the squad to effectively compete in the Champions League. I know they have an excellent midfield, but their backline is in shambles, right? And we see it today. Lindelof could not put a foot right? And they can always count on Luke Shaw to get it wrong. Yeah. So I think that is where their weakness. Because I said to Lynn earlier this week, I think Man U have the best midfield in the league. Starting midfield. That's fine, you can disagree. But I think Man U have most quality in their midfield right now, between Pogba, Van der Beek, Bruno Fernandes, and there I said Fred, right? They have a decent midfield, right? Not in terms of depth. Not in terms of depth. But I think they have a lot of quality in the midfield. Van der Beek come into the and show you say, oh, he has acclimatized to the club. Yeah, man, remember the man said the commentator say, oh, Van der Beek get to the box. Anyways.
Talking too long.
Rubbish.
Dear than matter too long.
Yeah. Well, seriously, ManU have a decent midfield, right? And I think if they make certain key additions, 4th and 5th game between ManU and Arsenal. Tottenham getting it wrong in a lot of ways. I don't care what they say about Gareth Bale. Tottenham still not getting finished top 4.
Alright, so Tottenham 6. Lynn?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, as a Manchester United fan, I don't ever want to see Liverpool at the top, nor Man City, but I have to choose. So I'll go with Man City. Reason being, it's the lesser of 2 evils, 1. But 2, I think Man City overall has a better side, right? I think they have more quality. I think how they play football, the midfield is very important. They have, once they get, they're doing some good business. They bring in Ferran Torres, Nathan Ake, a good backup if a defender gets injured, which we saw was a big problem for them last season. And, currently we know, based on rumors in the market, they're negotiating with Napoli for Koulibaly. So
Longest negotiation ever.
If they're able to get that over the line, a Koulibaly with a Laporte centre-back pairing, I mean, that's really good. And they continue to have a good way to play out of the back. Strong coach, strong first 11, strong 25, able to compete in all competitions. I think they will prove too strong for any other team once they get it clicking this season. And I think, assuming they get Koulibaly, I expect them to win the league. It will be tough though. I think Liverpool will come a close second. I think what really helped Liverpool was the 2 acquisitions. I had Liverpool actually battling with Chelsea a little bit more, but I think the introduction of Thiago to the squad, a midfielder with so much quality, so much talent, a lot of touch. He's won the Champions League. He's won, in Barcelona, at Bayern Munich. You're bringing a world-class talent into a midfield that has no class. Liverpool midfield, just workhorse, right? Milner, Henderson, these guys, they're no good.
Right? But Henderson was the player of the season last year, right?
So you have Fabinho, who is the only quality player in that midfield that sits CDM. Right? So no one, I didn't talk about we show a little respect.
Yeah, sure, I did talk, but okay.
Right, so what happened now is that I expect a Thiago to play in either 8 or a 10. We'll add a lot of quality. We'll find the passes. We'll be able to link up well with a Firmino. I think you'll see a lot more. I expect he'll be able to break down, the 2 banks of 4s that a lot of teams will play against him. So I suspect Liverpool, with the addition of Thiago and with Jota, adding more depth to the squad, he'll be able to come in for a Salah or a Mane or start a few games. I think he will add a lot of quality. So I suspect that there, which is where it's a little tricky for them, and the structure, they still play a good structure. I think they'll be fine, right? For second. Third, I'll give it to Chelsea. I give it to Chelsea on the basis that, they have a lot of players to integrate, yes, but I think the quality that they bring, I think the system that Frank Lampard is known to play over the years, I think he'll be able to implement that. Now, if he is able to get it right, and it's all dependent on that, then I think he will battle, with second place and end up finishing third, right? But a closer third place than what it was last year, definitely. I think Chelsea's, they've been able to strengthen all areas of the pitch. Attacking-wise, they brought in quality with Timo Werner. I mean, we see him in the first week. Very fast player, very direct, won the penalty, keeps running. I think midfield, they need to get those players fit. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is not it. And we saw, it's just not it.
But
it's just a reality.
I first was a Chelsea fan and said Ruben is the man.
Yeah. Misguided.
Very misguided fellow.
So delusional,
Young Yaya Toure.
I think he wants to cut that out, right? But the acquisition of Kai Havertz, I've been also impressed with Kovacic. I think he's a very talented player, always moving, knows how to move around the ball. I think little blocks.
Kevin, Kevin, I saw Kai Havertz pick out a fan in an empty stadium.
Kante as a defensive midfielder, right? Defensive midfielder, I think, side is very strong. I think there are still some doubts around the defense. I mean, there is Thiago Silva, very experienced. I think he sits too deep. He'll have to do a lot of work with Zuma. He has a good, fast defender to complement him. We'll see how that works. I think left back is still going to be an issue defensively with Chilwell.
Get forward a lot.
He gets forward, but I think he's going to leave a lot of space. So
Luke Shaw syndrome.
Left back in the league.
So I love to see how that covers. How Lampard is able to cover the defensive weaknesses on the left side. So right back, I think you have a decent right back. He's okay. So I think he'll define Reece James. Aspilicueta, I think he's past it now, but there you have it.
So I don't know why the man going through my left.
Yeah, I never realized, a top 6 the man saying that the man was a Chelsea, and you talk about all that meeting.
Yeah, wrap it up, please.
Yeah, man, move
4,
along,
5,
man.
and 6, please.
So Manchester United to finish 4th. Yeah, I think if we get 2 more signings, the signings that every fan pretty much know that we want, Jadon Sancho, if we're able to get that over the line, quality baller, we desperately need a right winger. We saw it today, right? Daniel James is just not good enough. We're here talking about Wilfred Zaha like he's a star today because of how poorly our wing is, actually was. So if we're able to get Jadon Sancho, the price tag is very high, or even just a very good right winger that can do much better than what we have out there now, I think we'll be able to, push forward. I think we need a centre back desperately. It showed again today. So if we're able, the rumors are that we're looking at a defender, which may be a left back in Tellez. That's where the rumors
heard that
are.
one.
Or may look to get a centre back. So we'll see how that goes, and if we can afford Jadon Sancho in this. Harsh economic.
Yeah, give Mustafi,
and see how it goes,
We give Mustafi plus 5 million.
Who going to be 5 and 6? Who going to be 5 and 6?
5 and 6. So, I think because of Europa League, I think Leicester will have some issues, right? So I think Leicester will fall down depending on how far they go. Arsenal, they're playing very well now. If they're able to strengthen, they'll be able to come somewhere between 5 and 6. Tottenham.
What a style beside star.
Tottenham.
So we're beating 5 and 6.
Between Tottenham.
What could they give us like 5? We say still. 2 from 2, yeah? Points on the board, runs on the board is runs on the board.
I think Tottenham and probably Everton will push for that, 6th spot or 7th spot.
Yeah, Everton is
Everton.
Alright, so
Big
let's
money
get to be
spender.
more succinct than these guys. I think the top 2 will remain.
Yeah.
I think we will challenge the top 2. Definitely. We have the quality, right? We have a manager who doesn't necessarily have the managerial experience, but he has the know-how in terms of winning the league, right? Winning the Premier League. And I think that will, bode well for the team. Now, I think City might be the better team on paper, more rounded. I think Liverpool is going to be very difficult to achieve what they did last year. It was an unbelievable season. A lot of things favor them also, them falling out of Europe earlier. And some of the little competitions, allow them to focus on the Premier League. While City, was in and around almost every competition for a long time.
That is true.
But to be fair, sorry, and I'm really sorry to cut you, Kevin, but what I remember though, when Liverpool fell out of the Champions League, they don't win the league long time. They were miles ahead by February. So I don't think falling out of the Champions League really didn't make a difference for them. The work they did from August to December, that's what won them the league.
I agree. But I think the approach from the first whistle was very simple.
Win the league, fine, fair.
That was the focus. While I think for City, the league kind of faded in importance because they really want that Champions League.
And they're 2 league titles back to back,
Yeah, that's the money that's been spent. That's what they want, the Holy Grail, right? So I think this year, I think Liverpool will find it a little bit difficult to achieve that. They have to integrate Thiago in. I think he's a quality player. I think that bodes well for them. Bringing a bit of magic in the midfield. It's very robust, very hard working, but that bit of quality.
Yeah, man, good old fashioned hard work, man.
Top player, so a great addition. So I expect those 2 to be neck and neck. I think we should be pushing them all the way.
So who have us first?
I have City as first.
Mm-hmm.
But, City and, to what Danny said earlier, you really want to see what happens by the time the window closes because Aguero has proven to be injury prone, and
And
Jesus cannot do it.
the older he gets,
Yes.
it's becoming more of an issue
Yes.
now.
So Jesus will not win City the title.
And that's my question
Not
now.
going to happen.
Oh yeah,
Right?
man, we're not talking
Not
about
going to
Jesus. We're talking about
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that is very important for City.
Yeah.
But back to Chelsea, some of the
All right,
young
okay, I'll move
players,
past Chelsea now, please. So
some of the
third.
young players,
Chelsea
right?
can come third.
Now we come in third with a dark horse title chance. I'll go on record and say that right now, right? Now in terms of
Say where your chest then.
Yeah, man, say it loud, man.
Of course.
Say it louder.
Of course. We should be there challenging. Or hate to say it, but we'll have to start looking at Lampard real early.
6
we're not
months.
getting things right.
So wait there.
If we're not getting things right, we have to start looking
I
at
start
Lampard.
put the caveat for now because
No.
earlier I showed the man say Lampard is the man.
I believe Lampard will get
All
it
right.
right, but if he doesn't, we have to look at it.
By December we'll get talk about Lampard again.
No,
I'm
in any
confident.
case, from 3 to 6 now is a kaleidoscope. I think anything can happen down there.
Yeah.
From 4,
Yeah.
there's Tottenham, there's Everton, there's Wolves, there's Leicester, there's Arsenal, Manchester United down there also.
Yeah.
But who's your 46?
Yeah.
Down there,
What the
down there, right?
Who's your 46?
Alright, so my 4 to 6, right?
Yeah. Oh
It's
boy.
very difficult.
Hey.
It's very difficult.
Ask me a question, now.
So I do believe that
John will start. Look over there
the
now.
top 6 will include Manchester United and Arsenal, just because of the quality and the know-how, right? I think we're the competition. I think ManU ahead of Arsenal for the main reason that I think they have a stronger team than Arsenal in terms of the midfield, right? I think Arsenal have a lot of young players that will grow into the season, but I think that might be an Achilles heel for them. So I have ManU edging Arsenal currently, but based on how the transfers work out, that might change. In terms of 6th, very tricky. I have Everton at 6 because I think, one, they have an excellent coach. No, I've done it all.
Yeah.
Across all leagues.
As player and coach.
Yes, as player and coach. They have the know-how. They have the quality in the midfield. So it's no longer at Everton like David Moyes days. It's all about robustness. A long ball up top to Fellaini and the knockdown. Cahill.
Belgian, Messi.
You have some magic in the midfield. You have some young players that they still need to get a lot out of. Moskeen and
I hear you even looking back at him now.
And if you look at the defensive structure on your side, it's solid.
Okay.
And you have Sigurdsson coming off the bench there. So the team has some depth now. So I'm looking for them to push there. I think Leicester will be in and around there also. And I don't think Gareth Bale can turn back the hands of time. I may eat those words, but I think Gareth Bale is past his best.
Yeah.
And I think Tottenham is going to struggle.
Yeah.
Jose is going to get sacked. And I think, hurts me to say, but this is it for Jose.
Alright,
sorry. Yeah, so in my thing, I probably wasn't clear. So I do also have Everton for top 6 as well.
Okay, alright.
Sorry, yeah.
Speaking of Jose, I guess he'd be your favorite to be sacked for this season.
No, so a Frank have money upon.
I think Jose gets sacked before Frank, if Frank is it.
Alright, what do you say? Who be the first to be sacked?
I'm going to
Oh,
put
hold on, sorry. Take that back. Ole is going to be sacked. Alright?
Yeah, so I'm going to say they're probably going to sack David Moyes first. I
Yeah,
think,
West Ham, innit?
West Ham is in a lot of turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kevin
Played well
is
today,
speaking just out of emotion and banter and so on.
They
We
played well
know Ole
today.
is not that good, but what may happen, what we see that generally saves him is that he'll get some support from the board. So if he gets the support, if he gets a top player or two, then the players will be able to do it, not necessarily the coaching, right?
This is Morris or Ole?
Ole. There's a problem that's not clear.
Ole. No, I don't think Ole is a great coach, and it showed today, right? I spoke about tactically and player selection. Starting Scott McTominay instead of Fred, and Fred has been the more informed player, more tenacity, more composure on the ball, better pass range. But you start with Scott McTominay over, I don't know, one of our own or something like that, come up through the academy. Rubbish, right? You look at Dan James, I think that's his name, starting over Mason.
Man named Daniel James.
You know what man.
Yeah.
Nobody foolishness.
You know
Dan
what
James, right?
when he got after a flyer last season, you remember him name? No.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair,
forget
Score
it
and
now.
debut.
I forget it now.
Everybody said Dan James.
To be fair, so Ole and Dan James, I think he was actually protecting Mason Greenwood because of the flat that was getting from the English media.
So why we don't protect Harry Maguire? Why we don't start?
Well,
Chris Smalling?
Alright, Maguire is a hard criminal and can manage anything. He's fresh out the prison. It's good.
25 and a really big man. Mason Greenwood is an 18-year-old.
He's a hard criminal man and can manage it.
So at the end of the day, start him, in my opinion, right? And you know, hindsight is 20/20,
Yeah,
right?
that is true.
Start him, start your best team, right? The only exception I can see is that you don't start Matic because he's not fit, right? And Aaron Wan-Bissaka because they're not fit. But if you don't have Matic, Scott McTominay has proven not to be good in that position, right? Over the years, right? We've seen it. So start Fred there. Fred is not a CDM, but he does a more.
Remember a year ago, this man cussed Fred in the ball for Fred now.
Hold on.
in a CDM role, right?
But that's not it.
So,
The question
I
is
think-
who is going to get sacked later. You're gone now in a Manchester.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We
yeah,
have
big
turmoil.
But hold on, all right. So what I say
Yeah,
is,
back on track.
David
Thanks,
Moyes,
Kevin.
Yeah.
in my opinion, will be sacked first, and just because of we see the transfers, we see the turmoil in the club, we see even the captain of the club coming out and kind of saying he's not pleased with some of the sales that we're seeing going on there. We see the fans turning on the club as well, similar to ManU sadly. But I think ManU still have enough in their coffers to maybe spend some money and help the coach, right? So it's dependent on that. If they spend in the transfer window, the players will be good enough. This is Manchester United,
Yeah.
and Ole will keep his job, right? However, I don't think West Ham will spend. As a matter of fact, West Ham may lose more players, and that will be
So
the death of
Kevin,
them,
what you say?
actually.
Moyes back at Man U and them stack Ole?
I think I when I looked at Ole today, I saw a bit of confidence when Ole scored.
Yeah, we see what this a run down to the sideline.
When
Fergie-esque.
then he was, I see him go back up, and then the look on his face to me is like him don't know what man. Ole at this point, I think. You see, like how we can see early signs that Arteta have a plan and we know what he's working towards. He might not have all of the pieces in the puzzle. Ole is clueless. And I think at a point in time, patience are going to run. It is Manchester United, right?
Mhm.
You're off to a very bad start, at home. I think he'll be right up there as one of my favorites to get sacked first.
I think the issue though is that the board and just kind of looking at where the fans are, where the board is. The board needs to get it right with Ole to some extent.
And
hold on, let me just make the point. And because of that, it may force their hands because even the board has been coming out and talking about social media interaction because the fans have been coming out complaining.
Yeah, because them can't go to the stadium when the boy is about complain.
No, well, what the fans have been doing, right, is just saying you're showing goal of the day.
Yeah.
While other clubs are revealing transfers, right? So where are the transfers?
Yeah.
I'm seeing that on
And that's the reason why I was
and
saying that.
you have several transfers that we know the rumors, we know the credible journalists, we know who they're going for, and you lose out to Spurs for Regulon, right? I understand it because of the buyback.
The deal was
The deal was tricky.
Yeah.
But what are you doing? We see where defensively you looked at Gabriel that Arsenal had. Right, you decide not to pursue it too far, but what you do, you need a centre back. So what are you doing? Where are you going in terms of centre back? Where are you going in terms of another defender? Where are you going in terms of a right winger? There's no clarity, there's no direction. Where you can kind of see it with other clubs, and where other clubs go, they get the players. So the board has been doing that for years, and I think the fans realize that now, and they're turning more attention to the board and attacking the board, and I think the board picked that up, which is why they bought Bruno Fernandes in the January transfer window as opposed to waiting until summer, which helped. So what I'm hoping is that this pressure, this push on the board, will force them to do the right things in the transfer market.
Which is the reason why I was making the point, because I know we need to probably move to La Liga soon. Yeah. But it's the reason I was making the point earlier, Leon and Kevin, in that I think a lot of what we're saying now is subject to how the transfer window ends.
Definitely.
And that's the truth, you understand? Because we could be having a different conversation about even West Ham now, because I know Arsenal, ManU, possibly Chelsea, some of the bigger clubs, when they finish their acquisitions, they may offload a player or two. So a club like West Ham can stamp a player or two with some top 6 experience, and that can make a hell of a difference. So that's why I don't like to make predictions until I see the complete squad and see what you're working with, you know. So all in all, the league first 2 weeks looked interesting. The transfer window is still interesting. I think there's still some more interesting plays to come because I think ManU still have business to do, Arsenal still have business to do, and some of the smaller clubs may still have business to do. So this conversation may be completely different in 2 weeks' time.
Totally agree. But you know what's funny?
Hold on.
Okay.
Fair enough. James, we have to cut football in England. Let's make a quick trip to Spain. First of all,
Spain quick, man.
we have to look at
2 sides.
the fiasco of Lionel Messi and Barcelona. You know, as in he was pushing for exit. You know, obviously he has been frustrated for some time with the board.
Yeah.
And I think the last straw was really the A2 whopping that he got from Bayern.
Yeah.
You know, and he has said that he wants another Champions League to add to his legacy. Barcelona held firm and he finally came in and decided to stay. Was it the right decision by Barcelona to keep
Absolute
him?
rubbish.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
Why do you think so?
The man going to walk free next year. And you pay the man 1.3 million euros a week.
Yeah.
That's what they pay. That's what they pay Messi, you know.
Right.
Right? And you're playing a player like that. The man don't want to stay. That's the first thing. So Barca has been getting it wrong for the past couple of years, right? In terms of even their transfer business, right? So you look at how Barca reached to the level where they are now. They came up through the academy. They had a system from the, the whole total football that from Cruyff and blah blah blah, and they had a system. The coach came up through the system because it was Rijkaard that started, but Pep is the one that really stamped dominance in world football, Barcelona, right? They had a system. Every week, Barca had a next young player coming out the academy. Now they've been trying to buy success in the transfer window. When they started losing players, our players start get old and players start leave. And I think they've been getting it wrong in the transfer window. They've been buying some players and it's not really working out. Right? And I know your point, Kevin. And also, like I said, over-reliance on Messi may prove to be their undoing, in my opinion.
Yeah. You want to go? Or you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean my position is very similar, Danny. I think it was a bad call. I think, when you look at Barcelona last year and you watch a lot of the games where they play without Messi, they actually lose a lot of games without Messi on the field. So there's clearly an over-reliance on Lionel Messi, the game change everything. And even to mark Messi out of the game, you see the breakdown, right? Which shouldn't be the case. So they have a concentration risk then with Lionel Messi.
All right, finance man.
Right? Now, when you look at Barcelona, and to Danny's point, when you look at Barcelona's wage structure, I was actually looking at it based on reported wage structure, right? Because obviously I'm not in the club and seeing the numbers. But what we see reported, you're paying Lionel Messi 1.3 million euros a week. You're paying Antoine Griezmann 82,000 euros a week, right? So between those two players, you're paying over 100 million a year, right? Just in 2 wages. Now, the rumored deals that they were getting from City look quite attractive in my mind.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to lose out on TV revenue because Messi will leave, and I think that's why La Liga stepped in and said, look, you need to get 700 million. But in terms of rebuilding the side, getting back a winning side, the players that you were offered from City may have been a good deal. And the fact is that Messi is how old now?
He's 33.
33.
Yeah.
So, Messi is talented. He could play to 50, but he won't be as good as he was when he was 25. That's the reality.
No, it's true.
So you have to look at the lifespan of the player, the usefulness, and if you can rebuild, just take the big hit now, take that wage bill off. You can get a few players.
You're getting Bernardo Silva and Mahrez plus cash.
Plus 100 million, right? No.
That was a reported deal, by the way.
That was the reported deal, right?
Okay.
Now, that to me would makes business sense. Yes, it's not 200, it's not the 700 million that you want, but structurally, from a cost perspective, you're better off, cash flow, and from just, a reliance on Messi, building a proper team with better players that, can work, you start back from there, and then you build going forward.
All right.
Yeah, so fundamentally, all of these guys make sense. Fundamentally.
Yeah.
From a football perspective, you don't let Lionel Messi go.
But we walk free next year, though.
If you can keep Lionel Messi for 2 days, you keep him for 2 days.
Okay.
It's the truth. Because, and to Danny's point,
Tell Bayern Munich that.
in terms of the conveyor belt, the conveyor belt has
Stop.
malfunctioned for a long
Broke
time.
down.
It's for a long time. A lot of players have been.
And they're trying to build a side.
And what's been
Can't do
happening,
it.
there's been a lot of next Lionel Messi's coming up.
That's the problem.
Bohan, which one we know? We don't even know.
Remember I
That's
said
one.
Madrid, remember I said Madrid moved past CR7 a long time, you know.
Right.
And you see, the thing is that Madrid has always built their side. I'm very sorry to cut the point, Kevin. Madrid has always built their side out of transfer windows. They must buy a Galactica, they must buy a side. Now they'll get a little bit more prudent and they actually invested in some young talent. And Zidane have a plan. Right? Zidane have a plan. And you see where it's going because, okay, so for about a decade or close to a decade, thereabout, it was Messi, Barca versus Madrid, Messi versus Ronaldo. So everybody's saying, okay, Ronaldo has left. Barcelona is going to dominate La Liga now.
So
They didn't.
So hold on.
Because Suarez at 50,
So hold
right?
on.
Rakitic was 48.
Yeah. So
Them side old.
Hold on. I agree with you. Alright, so there are seasons to everything. You know, I think Barca has done very well to last this long. Even when Iniesta left, Xavi left, you know, when the midfield, like support structure started to disintegrate, right? Now, it is easy from a fundamental perspective to look at the numbers, look at the facts, and make that decision. But however, when you're a Barcelona fan and you see how the fans were reacting to a possible Messi exit, you know, logic kind of go out the window. And you look and you say, it's Lionel Messi, if I can keep him fit.
Yeah,
a lot of big players walk free.
That next year.
A lot of big players walk free in many times.
Right.
See? And the truth is, from that perspective, I think they're trying to, the thought process is, look here, we keep Messi for 1 year, we get him to sign an extension or so. You know, we have 1 year for doing it. If not, we try to get him out in January.
Alright.
So I think that's the thought process.
Kevin, you mean
No, but then if you get him out in January, you know, you're actually significantly diminishing the market value because he have the Champions League tied. So any club that can buy Messi don't make sense to buy him in January because he can't play Champions League. I just wait until the summer. You understand? So, and I get the point, you know.
Yeah.
And if you look at it after the fact, and Barca win La Liga, and win Champions League, and Messi sign, and everybody happy, we can look back and say it was a brilliant decision.
Yeah.
Everything is after the fact, to be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can make our predictions now and say, boy, you know, I think it's a bad decision.
Yeah.
Lane agrees it's a bad decision.
I agree it's a bad decision.
You are talking from a football perspective.
I agree, from a football
Yeah, man, I get that.
I understand the decision.
I get that. And I agree with you from that perspective, you know, because he's the greatest player of all time. I will argue one of the greatest player of all time.
You see, from a fan perspective, right?
Yeah.
From a fan perspective, yes, how can I let the best player in the world leave my side, right?
And then for Spain,
Pay
La
more
Liga's
money than-
relevance
Yeah.
would be this.
Which is why.
There's no Ronaldo, there's no Lionel.
Which is why.
We rate Benzema,
But then
we're not
Memphis,
La Liga,
Memphis are come
Which is why La Liga step in, you know. So
Yeah.
La Liga actually step in and look on our Messi contract and say, see it here, because Messi actually has a clause in his contract that says in June he can leave. But because of the COVID, he was skipping, right?
Yeah.
So the COVID put him still play football in July, and then he come out and say, is at the end of the season? And he said,
No, June.
Yeah.
right? And June passed, but you know, June is generally the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, you know, Barca got away with that
Technicality.
one, the technicality, right?
Boy, that's after COVID. What a year.
And you never know. I mean, he may enjoy the football this season. Who knows? As Kevin said, may enjoy the football this season.
No, I don't
And
think
he
that. So,
may decide to stay. You pay more money. Who knows?
So, understand Barca's position and La Liga's position.
Right.
However, I think Messi has been unhappy for a while.
Yeah,
One,
you can see it.
Griezmann rubbing around.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
It did not want Griezmann. One, Griezmann is a Cristiano Ronaldo fan.
Mm.
You don't want a man in the camp. See? and in Messi's mind, he was going to get back Neymar last year.
Yeah.
See? And when that never happened, and then you go ahead and you bring in a Griezmann, well,
Yeah.
so he is unhappy at the club. I think, you know, he would like to play for Pep.
Yeah. And Barca has been spending a lot of money, you know, on players that just don't make, that is just not working out. Coutinho, 100 odd million. Ousmane Dembele, 100 odd million.
Yeah.
You bring out a player and then you swap Arthur for Pjanic.
But to be fair, the Dembele transfer at the point in time, you know, it was it represented a shift where you're looking at, yeah, this player is young.
Man couldn't juggle the ball, Kevin. When the man unveil the man fumble the ball.
Alright.
Me can be better than that, and me can't play ball.
Right?
Right?
And the worst I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Okay.
$100 million and he can't juggle. Them shot take it.
Him and Brathwaite couldn't juggle the ball.
Exactly.
Brathwaite. How much Brathwaite is?
It don't matter.
It's still a worse transfer.
Yo, all that. Remember some Brathwaite say, yo, when Messi leave, number 10 jersey, the man say ball like that, they are not long. Yo, we couldn't believe, yo, Barcelona disrespectful the club enough. He have the ball with the starting strike kind of, with Suarez out to them. All the man ask her, number change, you know.
Real Madrid brilliant, you know. Real Madrid smart, man. And give a non ball and then 7, see? And so I give Mariano the 7. Right? And then when them get the proper ball up, when Hazard come in, they take it right after him. The man they have vacation, man they even know it come out from it. Right? Unveil him, Hazard unveil like 7. Them take it right, them couldn't wait. As Hazard side, the man say.
But Barcelona is disrespectful, them disrespect Brathwaite and them deserve anything when them get.
Hazard start off in the 11 in pre-season, right? But
he wanted the 10.
But then he wanted the 10.
Madrid said,
shut up your mouth.
Not getting it.
World player of the year, man. A big man thing. World player of the year.
Like a season in 20-something.
No,
man.
7.
You sure it was it's 7?
One season Hazard play so far?
My first season, no, man, one season, man. The last year, he cut my transfer ban Chelsea get, you know.
Yeah,
man.
He play like a few matches, you know, see 11 or something.
Back to the most important thing. Barcelona is disrespectful, them disrespect Brathwaite, and anything them get them deserve it. That me I gotta say.
Okay, alright.
Brathwaite.
It's horrible.
So ladies, our time is up. We weren't able to touch on a few topics, but we'll definitely touch on them. Thank you for your audience, and that's Football Fans in Finance.
Thanks, guys.